Hello, YouTube. This story will demonstrate to you what human beings have done to the nature and well-being of our planet. And this happened in the long-suffering Ukraine, not that long after the 1986 nuclear disaster in Chernobyl, but by no means was Ukraine the only territory in the Soviet Union that suffered horrible consequences of experiments and nuclear and other contamination. And it took place in Chernivtsi, one of the most multinational cities in Ukraine, one of the cultural capitals where the UNESCO World Heritage Site and the 600-year-old buildings have been preserved. The city itself was founded in the 12th century in the valley of the Prut River. Interestingly, the name Chernivtsi in Ukrainian, Chernivtsi in Russian, comes from the old Slavic word black or black garden because the defensive walls of the fortress were precisely black color. Due to its advantageous location and the passage of important trade routes through it, Chernivtsi has become a major trading point. Because the Eastern Slavs and Eastern Romans, so to say, are close to the ethnic borders of different states, the city has become a multinational, multicultural, and multi-religious center. And this is true. I mean, I've seen people of Jews and other nationalities, as we say in the Soviet Union, but different ethnicities, resided there. Now, the people began to settle this territory, later known as Northern Bukovina, since the time of the Paleolithic, about 40 to 15,000 years ago. More than 50 monuments of the early Iron Era have been found in this area. It's possible that some of them were left by the tribe of the Scythian plowmen, mentioned by Herodotus himself, whom I mention a lot in my videos. And they settled mainly in the territory of the Dnieper or Dnipro River. But it took modern civilization to damage the land to the greatest extent. So here's what happened. In the summer of 1988, cases of baldness of children began to be registered in Chernivtsi. In autumn, the number of cases increased significantly. Dozens, if not hundreds of children were injured. According to the conclusions of a specially created commission, the small residents of Ukraine, or the children, have become victims of poisoning. The first cases of the mysterious disease among children living in Chernivtsi were recorded in August of 1988. At first, according to the author of the publication, The New Age of Criminology, Ishchenko, all the symptoms indicated that the children had the flu. The kids complained of a sore throat and coughing. However, during the following days, young patients showed signs of neuropsychiatric disorders, irritability, insomnia, and hallucinations. And after 2 weeks, the patient's hair fell out. Just alopecia, that is alopecia of the scalp, as well as the neuropsychiatric disorders, alerted specialists. Medical experts became quite worried. Moreover, the number of cases was increasing. Most often, the authors of various works that mention the events in Chernivtsi state that more than 100 children suffered from this strange disease. Alexander Pidjakov, in the publication Soviet Environmental Policy of the 1970s, early 1990s, writes that about 200 bald babies. However, this data may also be underestimated. The fact is that, as already mentioned above, the symptoms recorded at the beginning of the disease were similar to the symptoms of influenza and other respiratory diseases. Therefore, it is not surprising that such diagnoses were made by doctors, as a result of which many patients did not fall into the category of victims of this strange epidemic. However, the disease that spread in Chernivtsi surprised doctors not only with its symptoms, but also with selectivity. Thus, the Minister of Health of the USSR, Evgeny Chazov, later noted that the disease mainly affected children under 14 years old. However, first, doctors paid attention to the symptoms of the disease, which indicated mass poisoning, as follows from the verbatim report of the First Congress of the People's Deputies of the USSR, May 25 to June 9, 1989. In the autumn of 1988, a special commission was established to investigate the circumstances and causes of poisoning of children. The commission was given the authority to involve any specialist for the investigation. This was during Gorbachev times, and the Soviet Union was changing to the better. He did a lot to bring freedom and the air of democracy to the country. In October of 1988, the members of the commission arrived in Chernivtsi. By that time, the city was in a panic. Many parents sought to take their children away from the outbreak. Moreover, according to the author of the independent investigation, The Half-Life of the Hibina Group, birds of the lower tiers of habitat disappeared from the city, and the remaining ones lost their feathers. Hair loss was observed in stray dogs and cats. In addition, cockroaches, flies, mosquitoes, and other insects disappeared from the Ukrainian city without a trace. This circumstance, as well as the fact that the victims of the epidemic were mostly children, allowed experts to conclude that the toxic substance was localized at the surface of the soil. According to the results of the work of the Commission of the Ministry of Health of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, which was headed by the Minister of Health of the same republic in Ukraine, Anatoly Romanenko, mass poisoning with thallium compounds occurred in Chernivtsi. This was particularly indicated by the presence of such a symptom as alopecia. In addition, the study of biological material taken from the patients revealed an increased content of thallium. Also, in the nails and urine of the subjects, the contents of boron was found to exceed the norm. Boron is a chemical element with the symbol B and atomic number 5. In its crystalline form, it is a brittle, dark, lustrous metalloid. In its amorphous form, it is a brown powder. Alexei Grigoriev, author of the publication Ecological Lessons of the Historical Past and Modernity, is inclined to believe that the poisoning occurred due to precipitation which spread the substances around. The direct sources of thallium pollution of the environment could be the state commercial enterprises operating in this territory: quartz, granite, graviton, meter-photon. According to the collection of scientific articles, ecological and geochemical studies in areas of intense anthropogenic impact, Moscow, 1990. In July of 1988, an accident occurred at the quartz plant in one of the apparatuses for growing single crystals of thallium. The culprits were never found. The criminal case was closed. Cases of baldness of children have ceased to be recorded in Chernivtsi since December of 1988. Yishchenko suggests that due to the hype, the source of infection simply stopped functioning. Probably covered it up. However, diffuse thinning of hair, focal and nest alopecia continued to be registered in Chernivtsi in the 1990s. Look at what's happening today in East Palestine, and you can see that the contamination humans caused and the damage to the planet is not limited to the Soviet Union, Russia, Ukraine, and so forth. Unfortunately, this is now custom and habit of most of the humanity. And the things we do to our oceans and to our soil, the price may be too heavy. So this is what I wanted to let you know today. And I will continue to bring interesting cases of such contamination in the former Soviet Union. Hopefully, it helps people understand that if we don't stop this as soon as possible, we're not going to have a planet to stay on. And don't expect any alien visitations to the contaminated planet. Let's be realistic. If you can support my research, you will find the links on how to do it in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel and tell others.